If you come here, don't complain. You want to become best, you want to become champion, and now you want to say like you tired. Who cares? You tired or not? Nobody cares about you. They walk out inside the cage, they fight, and they leave. You don't know what happened behind the scenes. This is not your business. Nobody cares about this. He was tired, he had personal problem, family problem. Nobody cares. You just see how he fight and he go.
Everyone is jealous of what you've got. No one is jealous of how you got it. People see the trophies, but not the training ground.
Everybody wants the view, but no one wants the climb. If you want to take a break at every 2 steps and take in the view, do it. I mean, in 4 generations, no one will remember your name. And so, enjoy the view if you feel like it. I just happen to enjoy how much I can see that I can do. That's what I enjoy, and I feel like I am most present when I work.
What is making you a quitter? What is making you a weak man? What is making you afraid? That's why I kept on quitting and going back to start, or not knowing how to get through hard times. And that's why I was telling people, I'm not a theorist. I didn't study, I didn't study a book. I literally put myself in a fire repeatedly like a sword. You put a sword in the fire repeatedly. If you keep on doing that, you're gonna get a nice sword. And then you keep on beating it. You gotta beat the shit out of it. And that's what I am. Yeah. I became that. I said, okay, we can't quit. We gotta figure out why you are this. Why are you this, man? What is wrong with you? What's going on here? So I kept on putting the sword back in the daggone fire, and I just beat it harder. And I beat it harder. Before I knew it, I started realizing, all right, man, the brain is starting to get hard. The brain is starting to get hard. I'm no longer a theorist, I'm now a practitioner. I put it in hell, I dissected it while it's in hell, because you can't dissect anything in a normal environment. You can't dissect anything in 72-degree weather. You must put it in the freezer and freeze the out of it. And then you dissect it. Dissect it when it's miserable. Dissect the brain when all it's thinking about is, I need to get out of here, man. I want to get out of the freezer. Open the door. And you said, nah, 5 more seconds, man. 5 more seconds in the freezer. And that's when you start to pick that brain apart. And that's what all this stuff did to me. I kept on putting myself back into the freezer or the fire and beating the shit out of myself, mentally and physically. Before I knew it, this is what happened.
Just go to the gym. Yeah. It's like, don't give yourself an out. The problem is you give yourself an out.
Yeah.
Like, you can't give yourself an out.
Why do I do that, though?
Stephen Pressfield wrote about it in The War of Art.
Yeah.
It's a great book. If you haven't read it, The War of Art, it's a real small book. I used to have a stack of them. I used to hand them out to guests. He talks about this thing that we all have, everyone has, not just me, I mean everybody that does anything has. And it's like this voice in your head that wants you to do nothing. This voice in your head, and he calls it resistance.
Yeah.
And he talks about this resistance that is in your head, and that you have to decide that you are a professional. This is what a professional does. A professional goes to work, and they give in to the muse. Okay, the concept of the muse, whether or not it's real, but the concept of the muse is you settle in and receive creativity almost like as a divine gift from this magical entity, the muse. Now, whether or not it's real is not important. What's important is if you treat it as if it's real, it does work. And what works is if you dedicate your time and your focus, like realistically, with a professional, disciplined effort to creativity. You show up every day like a professional, but you show up to be creative. If you just do it on a regular basis, ideas will come to you.
People have a harder time accepting that someone can just work all the time and truly love it. And I define that by there's nothing else I would rather do at any time. And so for me, I feel like I exercise absolute freedom in my life. And freedom is reinforcing for all species. Dogs, cows, fish, humans. Freedom is one of the most positively reinforcing thing that people have, that everyone wants freedom.
To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. If you look at all my teammates here tonight, it would be impossible to find better examples of men who embody that work ethic, integrity, purpose, determination, and discipline that it takes to be a champion in life. I would encourage everyone to play football for the simple reason that it is hard. It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach, and your body is already completely exhausted from workouts in 2-a-days. It's hard to throw, catch, block, and tackle, and hit kids when they're way bigger and way more developed than you, only to go home that night bruised and battered and strained, but knowing you have to show up again the next day for just the chance to try again. But understand this, life is hard. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because football lessons teach us that success and achievement come from overcoming adversity.
The secret to success, I would say, first of all, is passion and consistency. You have to love what you do. You have to get up every day. And I get here every day at 9:30 in the morning. When we sold in 2016, a lot of people in the company made a lot of money. And they all took off and they retired, right? Other than the Fertitas, I made the most money. I'm still here. I get here at 9:30 every morning. Last night I left here at 8:30, you know? And I don't know how late I'm gonna be here tonight, but I love what I do. We get up every day and grind. I work just as hard now as I did back then.
There's a lot of, if you're alive, you can get better at stuff. And I don't think people are happy if they don't have puzzles and complex tasks and things that are interesting to them, whether it's an art project or whether it's learning something completely new like stand-up comedy. Like, doing things that are difficult is, it's as much of a nourishment of the mind as food is a nourishment of the body. I think you need things that are puzzling to you, where you have to find your own human potential in the difficulty of the task and work your way through things. At least for me. For me, I mean, I can only speak for me because I'm the only life that I've ever lived that I'm aware of. And in my life, that has been 100% constant. I am a very happy person, and I have never had a moment where I'm not doing difficult shit.
In the early days, when you start your business, you have these people who, when I hear them say, you know what, I want to work for myself. I want to create my own schedule, and I want to do all that. It's just, if that's your thought process going into it, you're never going to be successful. You have to pay attention to every single detail of the business early on. You're involved in everything. There's no days off. There's no birthdays. There's no fucking Christmas. There's none of that shit. I literally moved the birth of my second son for a chocolate elf fight. We had a chocolate elf fight coming up, and they're like, yeah, your son's going to be born on this date. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to have to take him earlier.
Yeah.
So they literally gave my wife a C-section and took my son early.
You were all in.
All in.
It's, to me, the mentality is a really simple one in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. You know, so when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I'm prepared, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing. Right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. If your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right now, imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4, you go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? Relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
I was doing this when I was broke, and I'm doing this now when I'm not broke. I'm doing this because I love it, and I feel like there's so much more to do, and this is truly my passion in life. It's like the Sphere. We're doing the Sphere. Why? Why would I do the Sphere? It's going to cost me a bunch of money. It's really challenging. Most people think it can't be pulled off, and you're looking at weird angles, different things going on inside other than the fight and all this other stuff. But yeah, I'm doing it because it's awesome and it's challenging and it's hard. And I think that if anybody can do it right, it's us. So why not take that challenge?
If you're alive, you can get better.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. If you're alive, you can shift things.
It's not about now. It's about tomorrow. We got to put the work in today so that when tomorrow comes, we are well equipped for the conversation that may be. I said, Joe had a fucking long ride of preparing for tomorrow. And when tomorrow hit, it had to hit correctly because Joe never not did the work on a day-to-day basis to prepare for tomorrow. I got everybody fired up just off of the fact that you continue to do your thing the way that you were, regardless of conversations, regardless of other offers and possibilities. You felt something else was on the horizon for tomorrow. But you knew it would come based off of your energy and effort that you put into the thing that you have. But I don't feel like it's ever the best answer when people say, well, what do you do when you're not doing what you love, right? And what I've said in the past and in the present as well is I think in order to do what you love, you gotta get through the obstacles of the things that you don't love.
In life, right?
Yes,
As
right?
you're trying to come up,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like getting over those hurdles and then eventually they lead you to the thing where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to pursue said thing that I want to do. Or if you're in a job or, a career and you're like, I fucking hate my job. What I feel is like, even if you hate your job, you're supposed to be using that job for something to get to something, right? And if you're not, then that should be the thing that you're figuring out. Like, I don't like being here, but now that I'm here, I'm going to do all that I can to get said thing so that I can then be comfortable enough to move here.
Yeah.
What can happen if we decide, I'm gonna see what happens when I decide that I am qualified? What happens when I decide for myself that I'm gonna do something different? One thing, Jocko Willink was in here last week, and one thing that's really been pressing with me that we've discussed is staying motivated. And I have been finding myself more motivated, even when I do not feel like doing something, to do it. That my brain doesn't dictate how. My brain does not get to choose. My brain can feel a certain way, but it's not going to choose how I behave all the time. I just can't let it do it anymore. I'm going to have setbacks, I know. But if I'm feeling bad, that doesn't mean I'm doing bad. That doesn't mean I am bad. That doesn't mean that I can't still take some action. Because nothing changes if nothing changes, man.
Effort, dedication, work hard, because the talent is not enough anymore. And if you're not dedicated 100%, you're not gonna reach the level that you want. For example, you arrive home, you had a lunch, you do it a quick nap, and you wake up, you play with your kids, blah, blah, and I have to go to the gym at least 30, 40 minutes, but this will make the difference in the end of the day, you understand? If you not do it that work, you miss one. The next day, it's 2 sessions that you lost. And I know in the end of the day, in the hand, they're gonna make a huge difference.